Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Marian White, and with me is my co-host from the past, is it a millennium or
Yes,
not quite?
We are the millennials. We are the original millennials.
Ken Bialo.
Good evening, Marian. How are you?
Well, let me just, I'm
How's
fine,
your wonderful
thank
grandson?
you. He is just full of pep, and our only problem is he doesn't like to sleep, take any naps at all, so he gets very cranky. But I guess that's the parents' problem, because I leave.
Nice work.
Yes, well, being a grandmother is lots easier in some ways.
I guess it is. What are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, it's so exciting because, you know, our favorite topic over the years is, of course, Furniture Share House, of which you are a director.
Yes.
And your power wife, Kate Bialo, is the executive director.
That is the force, yes.
Yes.
She is the force.
Right, and it's been recognized over the years. We've talked of so many awards that she's won. But what's coming up on October 28th is something called the Power of 10.
Right.
And this is to celebrate 10 years of Furniture Share House.
Right.
And
It's the gala fundraiser.
yes.
Every charity has one.
But yours is more fun than usual. And it says since opening its doors in 2007,
Right.
Furniture Share House has provided more than 54,000 items of free furniture to more than 10,000 individuals, and more than half of those 10,000 have been children,
Right.
to fill their empty apartments and help them rebuild their lives. And so this will raise money to continue that much needed work.
So, we have a gala every 2 years.
Yes.
Fundraising gala. Some organizations have them every year. They obviously have more well-off donors than we do. We have every 2 years. And this year it's going to be on October 28th,
Right.
which is a Friday night, and it'll be at the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club,
Right.
which is where it was last time.
Oh, that was a beautiful place.
Yes, it's very, very, very large.
Yes.
It is a huge place, and they have room. What did we have last time? 330 people.
Was a lot.
Plus staff and staff for the servers and staff on the Furniture Share House side working.
And-
So it was probably 370
and really,
people.
really good food.
Yeah, it was good. They
Yes.
did a great job. Anyway, it's a huge place. It's just mammoth. Last time, I believe we had 28 vignettes. And the idea is people are walking around and they see things that are laid out by professional designers. And these are things that are taken from the warehouse, believe it or not. These are things people throw away, and they're spectacular. And they take them, and they design a hunting lodge den or library, or they'll do a little music vignette where there'll be instruments and there'll be music stands and so on. And the designers come up with the themes. They pick out the stuff, just by going around and picking out stuff, and then they put these things together, and then they put them together off-site, and then we bring them in and put them on-site. People walk around, and they bid on the things.
Right. And that's a lot of fun.
It is fun, and the bidding generally produces a decent revenue stream for the effort that's put into it. And it's not cheap to do this.
Right.
But this is not being done in the grand ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria, right, for everybody who lives on Park Avenue, people who are local. But it's a really nice evening. It's a chance to do something for other people, using your wallet to help. It's always a lot of fun. There are always politicians there, leaders, community leaders, and there are people from the organizations that are helped by Furniture Share House. The way it works is you sign up to be a member agency, and then if you're a member agency,
Do you
then
have
you
to
can
be in Westchester?
Yes, has to be
Okay.
Westchester. Then you can refer people in. You schedule an appointment with the person who does the scheduling, and then you bring in the client, and then the Furniture Share House has shoppers, personal shoppers that go around with people, and they find out the dimensions, what color people like, what kind of furniture they need.
Oh, isn't that helpful?
Oh, yeah.
Because that would be so overwhelming to just walk around all the stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it make you dizzy. I mean, right?
Right.
It's like 6,500 square feet of stuff that's just piled up, and there's things on top of things. So
Good. I'm
there-
glad some experts are there.
well, these volunteers, there are 40 or 50 volunteers who come on. Not all come each day. Some portion come on Wednesdays, some portion come on Thursdays, some come every other Wednesday or every other Thursday, and they are there to help. And they walk around with the social worker and the client, and they pick stuff out and sort out what size rooms there are, and whether something's too large or too small, and how many kids and beds.
And these
so
are
on.
people that have, like, they've escaped violence. They haven't. This is a first apartment in a sense for them.
Yes, it's there. It is. The member agencies are assisting people who are leaving shelters.
Okay.
So it can be a homeless shelter. It can be a battered women's shelter. It can
Okay.
be a sickness kind of shelter. It can be veterans who are on the streets and come into these organizations.
Oh, wow.
And they're helped with getting the housing. And it's great to get a 3-room apartment with a bathroom. Seriously.
But it's empty.
But if it's empty, it's not quite.
Right.
It's not going to give the same comfort and sense of being and well-being.
value.
Yes,
Yes.
and value, right, as a person.
Right. I mean, the whole point, I thought that I've taken away, not the whole point, but is to give these people a sense that, yes, they are worthy of these things, and, they have a right to a nice life. Their lives have not been so great, obviously, if they've come from
They
shelters.
need help, and there are people who want to help, and this is a way that maybe have some particularly significant influence in some family settings of helping.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have a budget, right? So this is given away free.
Right.
Okay. We have a truck that
Yes,
Catherine
that
got
you
on a grant.
got,
Yes,
yes.
that's right, named Susie. Happens to be in Isuzu, so Susie wasn't
Okay, that makes sense.
wasn't a real stretch. That goes around and picks up furniture for free, or if you want to, you can make a donation at the time. But it's basically picked up for free, and it's delivered to the place where the client lives. Or you can take it home on your own if you have a truck or something with you.
Okay.
Or we're happy to deliver it. So the furniture is absolutely free. There's a modest delivery charge, and there's I won't call it a pickup charge, but there's a requested donation if you get a pickup, because it takes a lot of time and a lot of work to go around the county picking stuff up.
Right.
And you bring it into the share house. People come in, and they're helped by the personal shoppers. They walk around. They get a couch, 2 chairs, a kitchen table and chairs. There are paintings. There are lamps. There are TVs. There's all kinds of stuff there.
And beds and mattresses.
Beds and mattresses, very important for kids, dressers for kids, and so on. So then that stuff is batched at the door and then moved out by Dave Vitullo, by the way, who's a genius. Dave
They have a very strong back.
Dave puts it on Susie and with the helper, and then they go around and they deliver it. So that's
Wow.
basically the way the system works. But we do have some expenses. One of them is rent that we pay the county of Westchester. Another is the cost of maintaining the truck and paying Dave for doing the service that he
Right.
does do, which is a big cost. Then this is a 501c3 charity, so you have to file a tax return
Okay.
with the 501c3 boxes checked, and you have to have your minutes in order, and there are things that
Right.
have to be
There's
done.
Some formality to the whole thing.
Exactly right. So that costs some money, and then you have the computer, the costs of maintaining the database, and doing mailings, and
Right.
doing these kinds of events it is what it is. The rest of the people are volunteers. All of the personal shoppers are volunteers. My wife Kate is a volunteer. Everybody's a volunteer, but we do have the expense of the truck and the driver.
Right.
And his services, and then and his assistant, and then the formality stuff, and then there's a small amount that's paid to somebody who is way overworked, who does the communications end of things, meaning you get a call from an agency that says, I have a client, I'd like to come in next Thursday, and then you have to negotiate and make sure that you don't have too many people, you have
Right.
just the right number. If somebody doesn't show up, you get mad, blah, blah, blah. So that works.
Well, but Kate has just always been so good about creating interest, and I think since the very first Mother's Day, she's done mattresses for moms.
That's right.
That's you know, she's just amazing.
Well,
So give a mattress every year.
anyway, that's the gala. It's a fundraiser. We want everybody to come, have a great time, pay an entry fee, buy something,
Buy lots.
keep us going.
Well, yes, we have to have the power of 20 in 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know. Power of 10, so it's 10 years, and
Yes.
that's
Well,
what that's
a
about.
big congratulations to,
Yep, I'll pass it
to
along.
Kate and to you for helping in many
For the
important
board
ways,
of
I know.
directors, which is
Yes.
great group of volunteers. Great group.
Another thing that's happening locally, as you know, there's been a moratorium on building in the village of Larchmont for a while, and they've continued they've extended the demolition, the moratorium on the demolition, and there's a group called Preserve Larchmont, and they're very active in coming up with there's a lot of discussion going on of how things might be done better, which of course is always good to discuss those kind of things. And I know you were involved when you were changing the zoning law.
We did.
And how do you come up with agreement?
It's impossible. It's impossible. What we did in 2002, 2003 was to hire an expert. My thought was we would divide the revision of the zoning code into 3 phases. And the first phase was to deal with the McMansions, which we did at the time. Doesn't mean, once you've dealt with how to deal with McMansions and how to, what we did was we insisted that the architectural lines be broken up so that even if something was large, it didn't look as large.
Oh, okay.
And that was our approach. It was developed with the expert, and we must have had 4 or 5 meetings. He came back, and we had some definitive changes to the code to reflect that. That was stage 1, phase 1. Phase 2 was to clean up the code, which was just rife with errors. Over the years, things had accumulated, and there were things that were contrary to each other, and there were things that were not well said, and there were typos. I mean, it was really...
So it's just embarrassing.
Well, but it needed to be tightened up because the phase 3... and I didn't survive long enough to do phase 3. Phase 3 was to take on the hard stuff.
Okay.
Right? It was in my mind, there was no point in taking on the hard stuff at the beginning because that means you'd never get anything done.
Right.
And we did have a McMansion problem, and
smart.
There was we had some trouble down on Kane Avenue with a house that just went completely nuts. It was just crazy, and we had speculators coming in, and the architects were just making use of every square foot and more,
right?
For the footprint and more,
right?
And people were complaining, and I thought my reaction to it was in 2002 there was a legitimate complaint. There were things that were way out of scale with the neighborhood,
right? Yes,
and didn't belong, and that was just breaking up the neighborhoods for no particular reason other than somebody was going to make some money, which I think is great. You should make money. This is how you become successful in this particular environment. But you can't do it at the expense, and when I say expense, when you're putting a 3-story building into a neighborhood that has all ranches, so to speak, you've taken the character of the neighborhood and turned it on its head. So that's the stuff that we were aiming at. First, it was a priority. The second piece we did get done, which was to clean up the stuff, just rubbish all over the place. Clean it up. And we never got to phase 3. This is phase 3.
Oh, okay.
Here's a problem. Here's a problem from my point of view, I guess in my experience. There's a 40 Ocean property, which is symbolic. It's really a symbol, right, of great old houses. And how many great old houses do you want to take down? If you take them down, then the neighborhood, in fact, the village, loses a lot of its charm and character, which is, where is that on the scale of things?
And how do you define charm and character in a zoning law?
Yeah, exactly right. You can't.
Yeah.
And where does charm and character fit in compared to clean water, good supply of natural gas or oil to heat your house in the winter, plowing the street? I mean, where is that? How does that work? It's a lot, obviously, in the way people feel about a place.
Right.
So if you see big old houses in a neighborhood, you say, wow, this is an established community. It's been around a long time. These are impressive places in the sense that they're large and they're to scale and they're beautiful and so on. And so it gives you a feeling. I'm sure for some people it doesn't give them any feeling. For other people it gives them a great strong feeling that this is the place they want to live. How are you going to resolve that? It starts with this 40 ocean thing. But then, and you were reading this to me earlier, the group that seems to be worrying the problem, at least publicly, says they want to include evolution of existing zoning laws and its implications regarding subdivisions, protecting areas with water views, reviewing tree ordinance, protecting buildings with historic significance, which I agree with, and enhancing the role of Architecture Review Board. Wow.
That's a lot.
That is that's not a couple of slices. That's not even one slice. That's a whole loaf of bread about 12 feet long. So why don't we start doing this now? Because by the time it's done in 2050 or 2055, right? And they'll be able to start again. It's like LaGuardia Airport. Let's finish we need to finish the renovations tomorrow. You know why? Because we got contracts starting new construction the next day. Right? Always under construction. This would be a lifetime project. It's not the generality of these comments, which I assume come from the people, friends of, what is it?
Preserve Larchmont.
Friends of Preserve Larchmont. Preserve Larchmont, I don't know what it is. Yes, I understand the wish to do things comprehensively, but you can't. It never works. This is a recipe, in my experience, for doing nothing.
Yes, I agree.
Because it's too big, it's too much. Nobody can grasp all these concepts. You can't do it. And you will have people who would be otherwise supportive of the idea of designating historic structures, right? Opposing you because it's a water view thing,
right.
and they have a water view and they're worried about it,
right.
or they don't want to, whatever. You wind up with so many cross currents, you can't accomplish anything.
Right.
In order to do something, I would suggest, in order to do something along the lines of what we did with the McMansions, which lots of people, by the way, say, oh, you didn't do enough, you should have done this, you should have done that. Hey, we did something.
Yes.
We did something, we made a change, and we insisted that instead of having a roof line that looked like that,
right,
running 100 feet or whatever it was, that there be crowns and nooks and crannies and straits so that it didn't look as imposing. That was our point. Not that you couldn't build a house that was 5,000 square feet, but it didn't look like 30,000 square feet. Exactly right. Stuck in the middle of a bunch of ranch houses. So I think that works, and it can work, to focus on something and do it. It doesn't mean it's done forever.
Right.
I think it's a great idea if they want to, if the board wants to take a longer look at the zoning code. They're using the same expert that I used in 2002, 2003, Richard.
So you're comfortable with
Yeah, they're experts. What does that mean? It means that if you tell them what you want and you pay their bill regularly, they'll give you back what you want.
Well, good.
Right?
And then you've got to decide, gee, was this really what I wanted?
Yes, and that's really the process. It's not that they come in and give you solutions to your problem. They can't do that.
Right.
They can come in and give you some ideas for how to work solutions and how to accommodate differing points of view. This one, the historic preservation, I just don't think is much of a challenge. I do think that the city, the state, the federal government all have historic preservation statutes and ordinances and regulations and all this stuff. I don't think this is brain surgery. I may be wrong, but I don't think it's brain surgery. I think you could accomplish something like that and make it work in the village, but it means that some people are basically going to be in the position of, where they have historic homes, of having the limited ability to do things with it.
Right, which will affect the property value.
Which will affect the price. One of the things that you shouldn't be able to do is knock over an historic building. One of the things you should be able to do is to keep your house neat and tidy and paint it when you need to paint it. And you shouldn't be subject to 5 people from the village board or anybody else coming out and say, I don't like that color of beige. I think it should be another color of beige. Seriously. And that's what people worry about. And I get it. It's a huge, we have very few employees, but a huge bureaucracy.
A lot of opinions about the color of gravel. That was at our first board meeting.
Yeah.
Someone was talking about the color of gravel at Flint Park.
Pink gravel, or should it be gray gravel? Wow, hold on. I don't think we should be regulating that. And there should be a way, in my mind, to deal with the the grinding aspect of, on the one hand, having a piece of property that you would like to use, and on the other hand, being told you can't knock it down. There should be plenty of room to eliminate the grind and grease the wheels. Maybe some sort of an accelerated review process if somebody wants to do a construction project on an historic building. You say, okay, well, all right, tell you what, we're not going to make you wait 6 months like everybody else because you have a historic building and you've given up certain rights.
Okay.
And in exchange for that, our part of the deal is
okay.
we will help you accelerate the changes through. But one of the things you can't do, so don't come with this plan, is to knock over the building and put up 4 new buildings. That you can't do.
Well, and that's what I read recently, that you can apply for an exception to the moratorium, and there is one house that they're going to be doing that because they're staying within the footprint and they aren't changing anything to speak of. So that should work. Yeah.
I don't even know if that would be caught in a historic preservation law, the particular building. But if they're willing to say it doesn't matter because we're going to stay within the footprint, you know, from my point of view, you own the property, you should be able to do what you need within some very broad limit, which I'm not prepared to define carefully, but to say, it's like Justice Douglas, I think it was, or whoever it was, said, you know, about pornography, you know it when you see it.
Why don't we have a test about that? I mean,
because it's a First Amendment issue and was litigated in the United States Supreme Court for 40 years.
I'm sure the government has funded some kind of test regarding that. They do a lot of silly things.
Who knows? And you had some announcement, though, about the Rotary, didn't you?
Oh, yes. It's always fun.
That.
The Rotary's on the front page of the Larchmont Ledger. This was in June, but one of the first unofficial acts of the former mayor of Larchmont, Ann McAndrews, was to come to speak to Rotary. And it was just, we had new members there, and this was, Carolyn Gallagher has done a terrific job at getting us on the front page.
All right.
So I want to thank Carolyn, and Rotary does a lot of really great things in the village of Larchmont and also in the country and the world.
Such as?
Well, Bill Gates came to the Rotary for the eradicating polio because Rotary's been working on that for, 40 years. So when he brought his foundation to join, and obviously no one hears how Rotary anymore, they just hear the Gates Foundation is eradicating polio, but he's doing it in conjunction with Rotary International. And we're getting closer, so it's exciting.
Good for you.
Well, thank you.
How much time do we have left?
Oh, probably about 6 minutes.
Really?
So
there's no point in really trying to dig into this stuff, is there?
Well,
what were we going to do next?
What would you like? There's housing, the government.
Well, housing, I think we can absolutely say housing. Here's what we got for housing. Remember that the HUD administrator person?
Yes.
Or the HUD...
who hates us.
Yeah, arbitral. I don't know what you'd call him. Anyway.
Monitor.
He has retired. Thank you.
But the problem is he gets to a point who follows him, I believe.
Well, I'm guessing that'll be reviewed in court. My guess is that sooner or later that will be reviewed. But here is what I thought was the most interesting aspect of this. It has nothing to do with the monitor and nothing to do with that ridiculous housing settlement, put together by Andy Spano when he was county executive. This is a meeting, and this is reported by Corey Stockton, who happens to be a staff writer at the Marian Review.
Okay.
It's in the June 17th issue, right? This is important stuff. It's so important it's on page 5. A committee of the Board of Legislators, some members of the Board of Legislators of the County of Westchester, met with the HUD, HUD, Housing and Urban Development Department, the Fed, the Fed monster, regional administrator, a person whose name is Holly Leicht, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Anyway, they met to talk about what? We don't know. But there are quotes in here which are so funny. I mean, you say, really? What are these? What did they do? What are they thinking? Here, let's take the first one. This has been hard fought for what, 10 years, 12
Yeah.
years? Just a battle after battle, and the monitor just clobbered the county every time.
Right.
And just
And
at
rejects
every
whatever
opportunity.
we say.
Yeah, exactly right. Whatever the county says is rejected by the monitor. It seems to me the monitor still doesn't have it in his head that this is a home rule state. The Constitution of the state says the localities are the basic unit of government. The legislature comes in on some things, but the legislature doesn't get to dictate. And
Okay.
this home rule taxes, home rule streets, home rule schools,
Okay,
and
you're
all
right.
that stuff,
We're
right?
responsible.
We are. If we get to the end of the settlement and 750 units have been built, but everybody's saying, quote, I never want to deal with the federal government or the federal government's money or affordable housing again, we have not really met our goal here, like told county legislators. Where has this person been? There's been 10 years of bitter contest. I never want to deal with the federal government is the first thing that I say to myself every morning. Who wants to deal with the federal government? Why would you want to deal with the federal government? It's disgusting. It's bureaucratic. It's distant. It doesn't care. Forgive me if I sound a little like Donald Trump, but that's the reality. It doesn't care.
Right.
It doesn't care. There's a bureaucratic imperative to do whatever it is that the king of the Housing and Urban Development Department says you have to do. We're
We
going to
only
be
have
done.
2
We
minutes.
have 2 minutes.
So the choice
She
closed.
added that moving forward, much of the department's aim would be education and outreach with the goal of informing the public about the benefits of affordable housing. You had just spent 10 years beating the tar out of every town and village and the county. Walk, you're terrible. I hate you. You're terrible, you're terrible, you're terrible. And now we're going to have an outreach and education campaign.
'Cause
Where
we're
were you 10 years?
stupid.
We're just morons.
Yeah.
Where were you 10 years ago? I mean, it's just pitiful. Just pitiful. Everyone sort of agreed with what the data was, she said, but the county's understanding that there were no impediments, meaning to affordable housing, we don't necessarily agree with. We don't necessarily agree. Like to add it, it's really meant to be a kind of starting point for a discussion where a town has data to be able to think about, ready? Quote, what are our, meaning her, HUD goals, close quote. Really? Isn't this
That's what
just,
we're supposed to be thinking about. What are
Isn't-
HUD's goals?
I don't care what your goals are, lady. Here's the point. Stay the hell away from us, all right? That's good. That would be an understanding where you mind your own damn business and stay in Washington and you never darken our doorstep again. Here's her picture. If you see her, make sure to say, go away. I'm done.
Well, that was a high note.
That was a high note.
Especially,
Thank
you're
you.
usually such a very friendly person. Well, I'd like to thank the wonderful people that are on the other side of the cameras, the real
Talent, the real
stars of
talent.
this.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
the
real
real talent. And everyone, have a good last couple of weeks of summer, and
we'll
I'll see you in September.
See you in September, where we might even talk about the election. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, why not?
All right.
We'll see how you feel.
Okay. Or how you feel.
Take care.
Thank you. Good night.